evening. Good evening. Can you hear me? Is this okay? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Nancy Nyland, and I'm the Special Events Coordinator for Lake Oswego Reads, and I'm delighted to see so many familiar faces. Familiar faces means that you are engaged with the library. So you've heard a lot from us this month. Now we'd like to hear from you. So this is a survey. It's really quick. It takes about 90 seconds. I have one on each chair. If you wouldn't mind at some point in the coming days, just taking this and letting the library staff know what it is that you want us to be focusing on for the next 3 years. Again, quick and easy, but very useful to us. And if you've already taken it, thank you. And you can just leave the bookmark on the table back there or use it as a bookmark. So I'd like to thank our sponsors for this evening's program, along with all the other ones that we've been having. The Friends of Lake Oswego Library, Lake Oswego Rotary, City of Lake Oswego Sustainability Network, and the Review. There's information on the back treat table about the Friends of the Library and ways to join. Lastly, please silence your cell phones. And now a bit about our presenters. Cassie Clark has 30 years of experience implementing state and federal policies, including working with Oregon's critical access hospitals and rural health clinics to implement and improve emergency response. Cassie and her family have lived in the Bryant neighborhood for over 25 years, and she currently serves as co-chair for PrepLO, which is the group we're hearing tonight, a volunteer network promoting self-sufficiency and resiliency during an emergency. Everything we've been learning about up to this month has been leading, I feel like, to this moment where you can put it in action, everything you've learned into the particular neighborhood that you live in. Kate Myers has lived in Lake Oswego for over 30 years. She's been involved with Lake Forest Neighborhood Association for over 10 years and is chair for 5. And is passionate about citizen government interface. Most recently, Kate is chair of the LFNA Emergency Preparedness Committee, working as part of a team to revamp citizen emergency response for over 1,200 households and businesses. That's a big job. We also have Kate Bennett, who is a retired physical therapist. Oh, sorry, Cindy Bennett. Sorry, there she is. Some of you caught Cindy when she did a presentation at AUW, and she represents the Mountain Park neighborhood, and she is going to be the Vanna White of the evening, highlighting some of the materials that they brought. So you're in for a treat tonight. So join me in welcoming our presenters this evening.
Okay. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Cassie, as Nancy mentioned, and it is a pleasure to be here tonight. So I am the co-chair of PrepLO, which is a volunteer organization that works with our neighborhood associations to coordinate emergency response and to help with any emergency questions you may have for preparing for an earthquake or another disaster. PrepLO is organized well over a decade ago before COVID and really focused on Cascadia, so a large 9.0 earthquake. But we have seen in recent years that there are ice storms or fires which may displace us, and so wanting to kind of broaden our horizon a little bit and look at all types of emergencies. Back in the day, I think we also focused on Map Your Neighborhood and really looking at each neighborhood and assigning team captains to streets, and so that we would know, contact information, know when your neighbors were in and out in case you needed to turn off their gas or water while they were out of town. And so we've just kind of broadened that a little bit as well. As the Oregon Emergency Management, our OEM, our state emergency department, created a great program called Be 2 Weeks Ready. And so we've really jumped behind it. It was before a 72-hour kit that you would have so that you can get through those first hard 3 days if a big emergency does hit. Which is a great start. And if you haven't done that, I think it's a wonderful place to begin. But I think it's great for the expansion of 2 weeks and really thinking if we're lucky, if this is going to happen in our home, that we have our home ready for us to be able to live in it for 2 full weeks before real emergency services are going to get to us. As lucky as we are in Lake Oswego to have a full-time fire department, and they are amazing. As we saw a few years ago with the ice storm, many trees were down. It hit us in many different ways, and there were a lot of infrastructure needs that needed to be attended to first before that they could get to our neighbors who were trapped in their homes. And so PrepLO is really trying to reinvigorate the group again. It's got a great website, preplo.org, with a lot of great resources on it that we're continuing to try to build upon. And so we encourage you to get involved with your neighborhood association if you aren't already, and we can help connect you to your neighborhood association. We meet quarterly with a emergency preparedness coordinator from each of the neighborhood associations that attend. And then we're also doing a lot of B2 Weeks Ready trainings, and you can find that information in the Parks and Rec magazine, and Kate is going to talk a lot more about that at the end of her presentation as well. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to what PrepLO is, and we're excited to be here and supporting this today. And so I'm going to turn it over to Kate to talk more about B2 Weeks Ready.
Thank you. So the title of this presentation was in the catalog was about communities working together after disaster, and in reality that all actually starts largely before disaster with the preparation phase, and largely at the individual level, and then building from there into like community like networks and awareness and preparedness. So this is a pitch for you to come and take the B2 Weeks Ready curriculum. It's very insightful. It will help you as an individual become prepared, and it will help you see where you fit in within the larger like scope and variety of activities that happen in an emergency, and in all kinds of emergencies. Again, this is focused on Cascadia in terms of the 2-week time frame. We've talked about ice storms. Other things though could be maybe some sort of computer issue, you know, where life is not easy for us. There are many different types of ways that the information you get here could benefit you, even a personal emergency. Fire, right? So what we're gonna do tonight, and I wanna set this expectation, I am going to show you a preview of what you would learn at B2 Weeks Ready. We have 1 hour. There is no way I can give you everything. So you will see things on the slide that you say, I can't really read that. That's okay, come to the class, okay? But I want you to know like the depth of the different topics and what we're gonna cover at that class, and it will kind of start to trigger you to think about some of those things. So bear with me though if we're gonna go a little bit quick, okay? So I have taken our entire slide deck and pared it way, way down, and so I'll hit a few high notes of what we cover, and there'll be a few things where we'll make a key point. So we've talked already a little bit about some of the different types of hazards that we face in our area, and Cascadia obviously being the big one. Just to be clear, in case anybody here at home is not 100% sure what Cascadia is, we are talking about a subduction earthquake that could potentially hit the entire west coast from like basically where Oregon and California meet all the way up to British Columbia. And it's basically where the plate of Juan de Fuca is getting subducted or pushed under the North American plate. And because of the type of interface that is, it has the potential to create a larger scope of an earthquake than we would typically see in like California or something like that. Up to a 9.0, which is about 100 times bigger than a 7.0. That's big, that's a lot. And there's a chance of that happening within the next 50 years. We know they occur every 500 years or so, and we're in a 200-year window. I don't know about you, I'm not gonna be here 200 years from now, but I also know this 16 to 22% chance, I mean, we're in that window and things could happen. So I wanna be ready. And I want what I know to be helping me in times when my power goes out, and other situations in between. So our curriculum helps you to prepare to be 2 weeks of self-sufficiency, and also to build knowledge and be able to engage with the community during those types of emergencies. And we have 8 different segments to this. We have a preparing to prepare, which is kind of about self-knowledge, making a plan, making a food plan, water, what to do with waste and hygiene, a sheltering plan, first aid, and then a little bit about emergency management. So the first unit is about how you process your thoughts and feelings. I feel like this is the least tangible of all the units we teach, but really the core focus is how do you respond to stress, and then make your plan according to how you know you respond. And I tried to put, without any spoilers to the book, I tried to put a few things related to tilt. And my question was, is Annie good at processing her feelings, and what's her natural stress response? And we have fight or flight, but of course there's also fawn, freeze, and flop. So I'm not going to answer those questions, but you can see where some of this preparedness might have been a benefit to her as she went through her journey. Additionally, I really want to emphasize, and this I don't know that the curriculum emphasizes it enough. You exist with your home, in your city, in your county, in your state. You're probably not home 24/7, 365. We go other places. We do other things. We have vacation homes or family or appointments. So understanding that your emergency preparedness mindset is really what travels with you as you journey through all these different places. And so even though a lot of this preparedness is focused on home preparedness or maybe getting some things in your car, a part of it is having the knowledge of knowing what to do wherever you are to make good decisions and move yourself towards a safe solution. So the first question in any plan, is it safe to go, or do I need to stay put? And so part of this is, did Annie and Dom have a plan? There wouldn't be much of a book if they had. So you can sign up for alerts, have a plan, practice the plan. We teach you how to do that. We talk about things like evacuation routes, meeting places, ways to make contact if you're separated, and some strategies for that. We talk about what to pack and plan to have with you if you've got to go. And again, we do this in the class. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed that you're not getting all this down. But they break it down into the 6 Ps, supplies for people and pets, prescriptions, your phones and personal computers, plastic, meaning ATM, debit cards, and credit cards, but I think more importantly probably cash, and papers, important documents, and pictures or other irreplaceable memorabilia. If there was one thing that you came out of here today having done, it would be to please sign up for OR Alerts. So OR Alerts is the system that allows the county to contact your cell phone to let you know when there's a problem. So www.oralerts.gov, and it will let you put in the county you want to sign up for. I'd also really encourage you to think about what counties do you spend time in. We live in a tri-metro area, right? You may have yourself or other people who are spending significant time in Multnomah County or Washington County. Maybe you go to the coast, or you go out to Bend, or you go to Joseph. So think about all the counties that you regularly spend time in and consider signing up for alerts there too. We talk about a food plan. I'm not going to go into huge detail, but we talk about what types of things work well for shelf stability and portability and that sort of thing. And we talk about different ways to cook your food if traditional stoves aren't necessarily available. Do we all know how much water each person needs a day? I heard it, a gallon, that's right. And the estimate is about half a gallon for drinking at least, a quarter for cooking, and a quarter for cleaning. But that's per person. So think about your household. Add for your pets, right? And then add a number of days. So this can be quite a bit. Question, what could Annie have done differently to ensure she had water? We were talking about it. We had a couple off-ramps real early where we think she could have done a few different things. We talk about where to store water, different ways to make it work. One of the big things is to turn the tap off on your hot water heater to keep it clean, and you've got 25 gallons right there that you could tap into if you needed to. We also talk about ways to sanitize water. That I didn't put a slide in there for that, but like in the case that you've got to work with what you have, there's some ways to do that too. We'll talk about that. And we've all made it through COVID so far. So what's an easy way to stay healthy during disasters? What did we learn? Wash our hands, right? And so that's a big piece of the waste and hygiene part, is how do we stay clean? So we talk about the 2-bucket method, and we talk about some other things, pit toilets and variety of different ways to handle waste. Also laundry. I don't know about you, but I don't have a go bag that I'm gonna pack more than 2 weeks. I've got about 3 days worth of clothes that I have in a go bag. And so we need some different ways to clean things. And then we talk about a shelter plan. So again, not gonna go into every single thing, but a key question might have been, should Annie have sheltered in place or walked home? And then basically in my mind, the way I broke this up in my mind is there's a couple categories. You've got 3 types of bags. You've got something for in your vehicle, if you are typically a vehicle user, to help you get home safely. I personally have a first aid and search and rescue bag, which is separate from my go bag, which is my evacuation and living bag. And so that's the way I've kind of mentally broken things out. And then we also have 2 different types of categories at home, if you've got resources there. One is you may have things, I call it in situ or in place. If I think, okay, tuna fish is a major staple for me, I'm always gonna have one 8-pack and another one I'm using, and then I just finish one and buy another. That's in my pantry. But what if I couldn't reach my pantry? So maybe I also need to have some centralized, like in my garage, where I know I can get to it through a certain exterior wall if I had to. So kind of using our mind to think about different scenarios so that we're having a flexible mindset for responding. And pets. They don't tell us what they need, so we've got to really think about that. So we talk a little bit about pets and some safety measures, and I gotta confess, I'm not even good about this, having a pair of shoes and a flashlight under my bed, because if things shake really hard, some glass is probably gonna break. And the last thing I need to do is first jump out of bed and cut my feet, so the entire rest of the week I'm wincing every time I take a step. I should have some shoes under there. So we talk about kind of an order of operations of securing our people and our property, and then moving through into more long-term sustainability in the situation. Has anybody had any medical training in their past experience? Yeah, a few people. So that kind of knowledge is something that can't be taken from you, and certainly would probably be appreciated to be shared. And we can certainly do that by encouraging first aid CPR classes. Red Cross offers, but also we have CPR through the Lake Oswego Fire Department, Stop the Bleed, and there's even wilderness first aid training. My question for Annie was, are you counting on a hunky physical therapist to save you? So, I mean, it'd be nice, but they don't come with everything. Different types of things you might have in a first aid kit. We talk a little bit about that. And this is one that's important to share, which is Oregon's Good Samaritan law. It's really important that we know, even in our day-to-day lives, it doesn't have to be a Cascade or KD emergency. Oregon law has made provision that if you see somebody in need and you make a good faith effort to try to assist them, that you have a level of protection to ask them, do you want help? And then to do the best you can with reasonable diligence. Vice versa, if someone is concussed or unconscious, there's a thing called implied consent. A lot of people will not engage, and I would just encourage, if you think that you could make a difference, don't rely on somebody else to do it. Step forward and do what you can. That would be my request. So here we get to the part about the community. What should the community be doing after emergency? And again, this pre-planning is key. We have an organization called CERT. This is throughout the country, Community Emergency Response Team. It is primarily a search and rescue team. So they are immediately after trying to help sustain people and kind of get people back to a place where they can, be stable. You can get that training here in Lake Oswego. It's offered once or twice a year. It's an in-depth training. I think it's 8 sessions. I think they're each about 2 or 3 hours. You get a lot of knowledge and experience, and frequently it's full. So I would encourage, if you're interested in that, jump on it. And we need everybody that we can get to be CERT trained, because it's probably as in-depth as you can get. Again, we talked about the Red Cross classes, and again, this AED training, CPR and AED. Everybody's got a heart. We could all be using that in a moment's notice if it's called upon us. So that's a good one, and that's offered at the end of some of our B2 Weeks Ready courses through the LO Fire Department. We have our PrepLO, which is us. If your neighborhood has an emergency group, please reach out to them and let them know you're interested in participating. If they don't have one, guess what? You could organize one. And even if your neighborhood association isn't super active, you can still organize one even if your neighborhood association is not super active. So talk with us if you have a little nexus of interest. We want to encourage that. Last thing, you can sign up for B2 Weeks Ready through the Parks and Rec Department. We have quarterly trainings on a Saturday or a Thursday. It's called Emergency Preparedness for Adults and Families. And then we have the 4-hour in-depth Senior Adult Preparedness at the ACC on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. starting on May 13th. And so that's where you would get it in the current catalog. All right, with that, I'm going to let Cindy do some show and tell.
Thank you. So I'm going to show and tell just as she said, but before I do, I wanted just to cover why I've kind of gone down this rabbit hole. I think I was at the CERT training. Somebody got me there not knowing what I was getting into, and during that time they said to me that our lovely town of approximately 35,000 people, if the big earthquake hits, there will be 14 firefighters on duty to help us. So nobody's coming. They're going to be doing things that are going to be more central. So we really do need to help ourselves. And in addition to these classes, the premise behind B2 Weeks Ready is that you can gather your neighbors, everybody on your block, and say, let's get together and get a program going. And if you gather those people together, you can contact us and we'll come and do a presentation in your home for your neighborhood. And it really behooves you to get your neighborhood involved, because if you're ready and your 28-year-old neighbor comes with her 9-month-old baby and says, I don't have a thing, can you help me? It becomes a tough situation. So if everybody's ready, we can all help each other and it'll be a much happier outcome. So that's part of why I've gotten into it. So I'm not going to be able to cover everything, but I just have some items here to show you, to share with you how easily this can be done. And all of it can be found online if you don't like shopping around. You can go, like, one of the best things to do for food is to get the dry food, the freeze-dried food. And this mountain house lasts for 25 years. So it's buy it and be done. Of course, peanut butter, grains, canned meats, things like that are also good. But you can find an emergency pack that comes in a 5-gallon bucket online that will keep you fed and nourished for 30 days for about $100. So then we need water. So water's a big thing. So water storage. City of Lake Oswego at their emergency fairs gives away these big 3-gallon containers for free while supplies last. I have several of those in my garage, and right on it is printed the directions for keeping it safe, how often you have to change it out, and how to clean the bottle. And you can use things as simple as this, using the same information that you find in the B2 Weeks Ready. They tell you how to clean and sterilize this enough to store water for 6 months. So anything you have at home that you can store water and you can use, and there's simple formula for taking care of it. If you don't have running water, you haven't prepared, this is a simple, this is a ceramic water filter. You put it into your water source, so you've taken a bucket of water out of your 75-gallon hot water heater, but I don't really want to drink that. So I'm going to filter that first. So this is a ceramic filter. So I've just dropped it into my bucket, and I just have to pump, and this bottle is filled up in a couple minutes' time. Really simple. And this lasts for thousands of uses. It's around $40, $50. This is even simpler. This one is a Sawyer squeeze system. There are several different brands out there now. And all you have to do with this one is fill up this bottle, and the filter is in this section here. So you just pull that off. I could actually drink out of it, or you turn it upside down and you squirt it into your container. And it comes with different size bags, so you can get a big one and just hang it and walk away and let it filter. A very simple thing. This one's in the $30 range, and you can use it 100,000 times. And both of these get out particulates. This one gets out virus kind of bio kind of stuff as well. One of the simplest things is you can get that same kind of filter system in a water bottle that has a filtered straw. So this is my go bag, so I keep that one in there because I can take it with me anywhere. So there's other ways. There's the tablets, the iodine tablets. They don't take out particulates, but they do kill things and make sure water tastes bad. And so then my go bag. So everybody needs a go bag. And please, everybody go home tonight and take a pair of shoes and tie it to your bed so they don't walk away in an earthquake, and put a headlamp or a flashlight inside the shoe so that they're really there and they haven't walked away and you have to go across the glass to get it. That's a very, very simple thing to do. So this one is right by my front door in my hall closet. And I put everything in here that I think I'm going to need for an extended time if my house isn't going to be stable. And this one is has straps, so it's kind of like a backpack, but it's getting heavy. So most of my friends are using just a wheeled suitcase. You know, you can go to Goodwill and buy a used one for a few bucks. So in there I have things like a headlamp with extra batteries. I have wipes, I have water, I have my filter, I have a small first aid kit. And in this bag, you also, if you have to take medicine on a regular basis daily, you want a supply of that in here so that you will be able to sustain on that medication for at least 2 weeks, hopefully. Important information, papers, birth certificates, financial, your pictures that you don't want to lose on whatever electronic storage device you want to put it on. Have that in there too, so it's right there for you. I have an extra little camping towel. I have a packet of clothes for a few days. I have a small packet of food like bars and that tuna in a pouch kind of thing. And then I have my hygiene bag, which has my shampoo, soaps, things like that. And just because I'm a little bit of a nerd, I have a bag of small tools, cords, things like that might come in handy. So that's a very important thing. And then if you have littles in your house, or I have grand littles, you can make them a little go bag. So I have food in here, an extra lovey that they have, a change of clothes, some toys, their own little hygiene bag, simple things like that. It makes them feel involved and ready for an emergency. My grandson loved making a diagram of his house, and he made his emergency evacuation route. And then it was important to talk about, well, when you're out of the house, where are we going to meet? So they are meeting at their mailbox. And that brings across, if you're both out in town somewhere, like our heroine in our movie, in our book was, she didn't know how to meet her husband. So if you're out, you guys need to say, where are we going to meet if there's an emergency? That's a very important part. In your home, of course, to have a little bit bigger first aid kit than most of us have. It shouldn't just be Tylenol and some Band-Aids. And then ways to cook your food. So I have a simple, this is a butane stove. It works pretty much like a regular stove. You get a can of butane, you slide it right in here, close it, and you turn it on. Click, click. And now I can cook. Very simple. This is about $40, I'd say. And the butane is $3 or $4 a can. I'd get probably 10 or 12 of those cans. Who does? Bi-Mart, there you go. This is my old camping stove. This is a little stove with a little fuel source underneath. I have a light little pan in there so I could boil water to mix in. And when you buy these, you mix the food right in here. You just add water and leave it in here and mix it. And you can eat it out of here as well. So it's very simple. Little energy source. So if the cell towers are still up and we can still use our cell phones, this would be enough to power my cell phone. I could charge my cell phone on a sunny day so that I could hopefully keep in touch with my loved ones and also maybe get emergency information if the cell phones or towers are up. I have a bigger Jackery electric one that has a bigger setup like this so that if there's a sunny day, I'll be able to charge a little bit more and have more electrical usage. Here's my fancy light. This is inflatable, so I just blew it up for you guys tonight. It's solar powered, so if I put that in the sunlight, I'll have that charging it, or you can charge it with your cords. And then you can have a dance party, or just use it for functional light, hang it up, and it works really well. And then when it's not in use, you just deflate it, and it doesn't take up much space, and it's very light. Let's see. This is a little car bag. What do you have in here?
In there I have a life straw, which is similar to the
this
straw
one?
that's inside the water bottle, as well as some protein bars and matches, as well as some small, they're like a fuel disc, and it'll burn for 16 minutes. So, yeah, if I ever got stranded in my car or had to walk back home from wherever I was, a few items there. Also in my car I have a tarp and some emergency blankets.
Great.
A flashlight.
So we just have two 5-gallon buckets here to show how simple it can be to set up an emergency bucket system. One is for solids, one is for liquids. And you can get very nice portable toilet seats that fit on top of these from REI, probably Bi-Mart, online. Pardon? County Fair. Did they give them out? Perfect. And you can get, and then for the waste you want to, after you've used it, you put a little bit of organic material like sawdust, paper, or something in there to keep that at bay. And Kate has a washing machine, which we don't think about. But over 2 weeks' time,
My agitator, and then pull it up and strain. Drain your water and keep on going.
and then we haven't talked about pets. And I wish my friend Ron was here because he has an excellent presentation about pets. And there you want to think about the pet medications you might have to have. You want to think about a container that is suitable to hold your pet's food because not all of them are food safe. The beds and water supply. So when you're figuring your water supply and how much you need, figure in your pets as well. That's very important to most of us who have pets. So the big thing, Be 2 Weeks Ready covers everything. So if I've only kind of just whetted your appetite here, go there, there's a resource there, or call us and say, we have a group of citizens together here and we would like you to come and present the whole thing to us. We'll come and answer questions. But to develop it in your community is really important. And if you get your whole street online and you're all working together, then go to the next street on each side and get them going. So as I said, the more of us who are prepared, the better outcomes for everyone. Because looting does occur. It happened in this book. And in real life situations, it does occur as well. And I've never been in a real emergency. The closest I came was 5 or 6 years ago. I lived over off of McVeigh, and I got those fires that were creeping up on Oregon City. I got the level 2 warning, which means be packed and ready, which really kind of opened my eyes. I was like, oh my gosh. And I didn't have a bag. So now I have my bag, and I am ready. Hopefully we'll never, any of us, have to use it. But if we do, we really are going to have to rely on ourselves. So and there's a lot of resources out here to help you. So, anybody have any questions right now?
I have an earthquake kit, but probably the food is, 4 to 5 years old. Are there good ways to like remind yourself to like
Yeah,
check every now and then so the food doesn't expire?
I use my phone. When I get my kit together, I will then set in my phone, even 3 years from now, whatever it is that I need to go back and check on it, because I'm not going to remember that. I do the same thing with my 6-month water supply. When I re-clean and fill my water bottle, I put that on my calendar in my phone, and then it tells me it's time, because I won't remember.
How long would the water be good?
6 months. And then you can water your flowers and redo it again. And it's not complicated. And another good thing to have on hand is a bottle of bleach. Plain bleach, nothing fancy, nothing scented, just plain household bleach, because those are the things you'll use for cleaning a lot of things. Canned water too. If people don't want to worry about it, people say, I don't want to worry about doing this every 6 months. You can buy canned water online that lasts for 25 years. So it's all out there. It's all online, and it's all in B2 Weeks Ready. And again, reach out to your loved ones. Make sure your family's are ready. My 2 kids are not, no matter how much I nag. But it's important. So.
Yeah, I would say another strong suit of the B2 Weeks Ready program and the class is we teach you the range of different options. And so it doesn't have to be expensive. There is a level of convenience and efficiency with getting things that are specific to their purpose. But at the same time, when you go through the class, I think you will be surprised at the amount of things you already have in your home or at reach. But the key is to have thought about it and put them or organized your thoughts about it in advance and made deliberate choices, not just being struggling in the aftermath, trying to make sense of things. But I want to emphasize that this is for everybody, regardless of financial situation, whether you're living in an apartment or condo, or if you're in a home. This is, or a business. This is for everybody, and there are reasonable plans for everyone.
Any other questions?
So I have a transistor radio, which I've used when I've had 3 or 4 day, power out. But is that recommended to have as well, or is the likelihood with Cascadia that the radio stations would all be down too?
You want
They have
the best thing
emergency
is an
radio.
emergency radio, and there's some that have a hand crank on it, so you can charge something, but also will get you the NOAA, the NOAA band, which will broadcast and give the.
Yeah, and hopefully FEMA is going to be online so that you could even get it on your transistor radio, but that's going to take some time. They have to mobilize and get here and set up and organize things. So that's why it's so important for us to be ready ahead of time. And that's a good idea. They have walkie-talkies. Some of them are so strong that I live 10 minutes from my daughter, and I think there's not a hill between us that if we each got one of those, we might be able to. And that's another thing. If you have friends and relatives around the city that you want to be able to talk with, there's a place where you can centralize, I'm okay. Like you could call somebody in New York. You'll call your friend in New York and say, I'm okay because I can't get a hold of my daughter. So your daughter then can, if she can call the person in New York, that kind of thing, so that you get more contact with family to communicate where you are in this situation.
And I was going to say also along the lines with those FRS radios you were mentioning, some of those even come with the ability to listen to the NOAA radio on the FRS.
And we haven't covered a lot of things.
No.
This is just an hour. So there are things like how do you set up an emergency shower, emergency shelter, and where do you store your stuff? I'm storing my stuff. I'm an old camper, so I have tents and things, and sleeping bags that I'm going to be using. And I've put them right in the front of my garage, right behind the garage door, thinking probably I'll be able to get through there to get it if the whole house falls down. And then the other thing, if you do get a street full of volunteers and people who are ready to get prepared for an emergency, somebody in the group should take the CERT training. I did the CERT training. It's really good. It's a lot of information. And on the second to last class, they put you through an emergency at the Westlake Fire Station, and they have that training tower there, and there's like fake smoke and water and electrical sparks, and I'm with my partner, and we're trying to search the building, and oh my God, we went into the chemical area, and now we're out, and you know, how to get people out of a building and how to treat them afterwards. It was, the heart was pumping. It felt like the real thing. And then on the final day, you then go over what everybody did right or wrong. It's a huge learning curve. It was really good. So we have, in my HOA, we have 38 homes in my HOA, so we're really working hard to get everybody on board, and we've done the training for most of the people, and we have a team from CERT, and we have a plan, so it's a really good thing to get going in your neighborhood. Anything else?
Okay. If there are no other questions, I'm expecting that we're all going to go sign up for this fantastic class. And thank you so much, ladies. This was phenomenal. Thank you so much.
So as we said, this is like an 8-hour course that we have condensed to 2 hours, and then we're trying to do some follow-up emails to help you kind of come back to it afterward for kind of each segment. The 4-hour in-depth session is going to be our first time offering this, so we're going to do 2 modules per hour, 4 times in a row. So unpack a little bit more on each one, and also because it's specifically at the ACC for adults, we're going to try to really emphasize, you know, special needs or specific needs, like what does evacuation look like, what is medication, caring, affordability, you know, different types of living arrangements, sort of things. So we will have more of an emphasis for this. So if you can't make that first group, at least take the one on Saturday for 2 hours. Yeah.
And all the information is in your books that you've got tonight for reference. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Bring the book to the class and make notes.
Right in the margins, yeah.